Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Just give it a second to boost up the live stream. Normally, I do like an intro, countdown, all that kind of stuff. Not been able to really do that today. But if you are there in the chat, do say hello. I'm just going to put up quickly the YouTube chat here. Right, that's up there. And I'm just going to put up Twitch chat. So we're going to, like I said, this is a Q&A live stream. So if you have any questions, feel free to do so. I'm going to answer some of the, I've only got a few questions from the community tab post. So what I'm going to do is I've added some of my own questions to answer, which I think some of you guys might find interesting. Some of the questions that I'm going to put. So I'm going to put some of them to me. And if you guys want to add your own questions, feel free to do so, and I'll try to answer them as well. So first and foremost, hope you guys all had a nice Christmas. If you do celebrate Christmas and all that kind of stuff, I hope it was all well. Can't say Christmas Day was very nice. Christmas Eve was good. Boxing Day was okay for half the day, and then I was sick last night. So yeah, that's what happens if you haven't, as somebody who is an extremely light drinker, and I drank quite a lot, and for someone who drinks very light, it's not a very good idea. So I paid the price on Boxing Day with an upset stomach throughout most of the day, and then finally I decided to throw up yesterday evening. But once I threw up, I've been completely fine since. So yeah, that's so yeah, that was not ideal. So that, but apart from that, yeah, I had a really nice time with family, loved ones, all that kind of stuff, guys. Good to see you, Alistair Kid, Mad Monk, Simon says 55. Hope you're all doing well, and anybody else who may be lurking in the chats. Okay, so let's go. Can I pull this up? Can I pull this up here? Let me just see. You have to understand, I've only just come home literally a few hours ago, so just been trying to sort stuff out because I haven't been home for a couple of days. So can I show you guys the questions? Not really from here. This perspective, I can't really work with it. Right, so I'm going to do the 3 questions I've got here, and then I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to add on there. Feel free to add your own questions in the live chat, and I'll try to answer them as best as I possibly can. So basically, it's a Q&A live stream. Basically, I said if you guys wanted me to do one, I'll do future ones where I'll set up like a super chat goal on one live stream, and if we hit it, then we'll do another one. We'll do these every Friday, and it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be politics, by the way, as well. It can be anything, guys. So yeah, we're not covering any news or anything whatnot. I will do that on Monday. Am I going to be doing a full week? The problem is, guys, as much as I want to do a full proper week, like back to normal, my partner is not back at work until Thursday, till New Year. So I may do a reduced schedule Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then go back full pelt on Thursday, possibly, just for reference. So what I might do is the level of content I've been doing for you guys for the past couple of days may stay the same for half the week. But what I'll do is I will keep the live streams I should be able to do throughout most of the week. So I should be able to do Snowflake Corner, Snowflake Watch, and then Thursday I don't have anything planned. Thursday I might do a Snowflake Conflict episode maybe, but we'll see how that goes. So the first question I've got on the post that I left a while ago is from Stephen Banker. We're asking, so what headline has made the biggest impact on you this year? So specifically, what has it made the biggest impact on me? Headline. I don't really, for myself, like I don't think there's any headline that's had a personal impact to me in terms of politics. When I think about some of the things that have happened this year, it has been quite quite world shaking, without a shadow of a doubt, with the amount of elections that we've had. A lot of changes in government. We've had a lot of people come and go. we had obviously the general election this year, where we finally saw the Tories finally kicked out of power. I can finally put my chat up there so I can see them. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, is there something that really has impacted me? I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's a headline that's impacted me. There is one personal story that's happened this year, which I've alluded to, but I don't really want to talk about. It's too personal to talk about. So I don't really have a straight answer for that one, Stephen Banker, because there's not really a headline there's not really a political headline that's deeply affected me personally. Obviously many of them have affected people, like, the winter fuel allowance, the consistent austerity that's been done by the Conservatives for a long period of time. There's not really an impact that's personally affected me. I'm in a very stable and I'm in a situation where, unlike lots of other people, I'm in a stable financial situation where I'm in the position that I am in. And I'm very lucky and very grateful to be in that position, because lots of other people would not. Lots of other people would be forced to work 40 plus hours. Some people would have to work 40 plus hours in the position that they're in. I'm lucky enough not to have that. However, going back to work is definitely something that I need to do. But to answer that question is, I don't really have a headline that's had an impact specifically on me for that one. Number 3 puts as a question as well. I read on Twitter that some insane idiot had burned a homeless woman as she was sleeping, and other people took videos and nobody helped. The question is, can people get worse? The answer to that is yes. People can get worse. I don't pay attention to what people say on Twitter anymore. I don't like. There are certain comments in my channel that I don't pay too specific attention to. I've said this before. Like, the moment you insult me, your comment gets deleted, because you can have constructive criticism. Like, there's been comments who are basically calling one of my short videos fake news, but like, it's not directly it's not directed at me. It's just directing at the content that I'm providing, and that's fine. You can call it fake news if you really want. I disagree with it. But the moment you insult me, your comment gets deleted from that, just on terms of channel comments that I get here. You should be careful what you read and like, it's never a good thing to engage on Twitter. Like, I don't engage in politics on Blue Sky. Like, even though I do have a Blue Sky account, some of you may know, I very rarely use it. I'm using the wrestling one constantly. I just find it more, like, for me, like, Blue Sky is actually something I haven't been able to. I just haven't spent enough time on the politics account to use it enough. But the question is, obviously, can people get worse? And the answer is yes. We've seen people do some absolutely horrendous things. We've seen, a prime example of how can people get worse. I mean, look what's happening in the Middle East. Look what's happening in Gaza. Just as a prime example. The consistent narrative that is being pumped out by news, by the mainstream media, in stark contrast to what we see, and what what we read, from people who are actually there physically on the ground, is horrifying. Is absolutely horrifying, to say the least. So to say that people can get worse, unfortunately, the reality is people do get worse. On that one. Daily Blase, good to see Simon says 55. Mad Monk, Jow, Dave McGuinness, hope you're all doing well. If you missed it, guys, do check out the Christmas show from Dave McGuinness and from the YouTube channel of Two Davies. I could only pop in. I just, because obviously Christmas, spending time with family and that, but I just wanted to pop in and say hello anyway. So I'm glad I got to do that as well. And do check out his live stream as well. There, like I said, I was only very, very busy when I got back, so I didn't have a chance to join you. It was quite late there. And good to see you, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions, just throw them in the live chat and I will respond to them in due course. Like I said, I've got my own questions if you don't have any of your own to add. So this is another question that I had here. So I only have, like I said, I only have 3 questions from the community tab post. So this is from AR Coffee 5778 asks, what's the feeling in England with regards to reform? Apparently gaining momentum and with the prospect of an LED company director becoming Prime Minister. So I don't like to engage. So obviously that recently I've been spending a lot of time with family and whatnot. I don't really spend a lot of time discussing news and politics with them. I keep that out because it's because it can be a very negative subject to talk about. However, before that, I think before that, my general consensus. I mean, what's the general consensus about reform that what I read, what I hear on the ground here in England. I can only go by what like, because I very rarely go up north, because I know people obviously up north. Some of you guys here. The feeling is that there is a momentum building with reform. That people don't really care that reform are a company. They don't care that it's a subscriber system and not a members system where they have a say in it. The position that people have about reform is that they believe that because they're not part of the establishment, but because they sit on the outside, that they've never had power before, that they can clean up politics, that they can deal with the corruption, that they can make Britain great again, that they can take it back to its old days. You know, the nostalgia. People like nostalgia. People like this belief that someone can come in and fix all their problems and make their life better for them at a very quick pace. I've always said this, that people are very impatient. People have become incredibly impatient nowadays when it comes to wanting things done. You know, I know that many people in my here on my channel are not fans of Labour. I'm very critical of Labour, and that's totally fine. And I've been critical of them too, but I'm also prepared to give them the chance to see what they can do as well, because we have to give governments an opportunity to do so. Are they doing a lot of right things? Yeah, they are doing some good things. Are they doing a lot of bad things as well? Hell yeah, they're doing a lot of bad things as well. And the image it's looking is not very good. I mean, literally, we talked not too long ago about the WASPy women, you know, about how bad that is, the winter fuel allowance, just for example. But there are things they are doing behind the scenes, like the video I've done from Barline Times about some of the good things that they are doing. These are steps in the right direction, and not the they're not as fast as some people want them, but sometimes things take well. I mean, can I see Nigel Farage becoming Prime Minister there, and LTD company director becoming Prime Minister? As of right now, there is very entirely possible to do so. It's what people need to understand is, and this is the biggest problem, right, with all the social media, with all the political parties, is their lack of use of social media. This has been highlighted a number of times. What the Conservatives are doing is crap when it comes to social media. What the Labour Party are doing is crap with social media. Like, do the Liberal Democrats even have a YouTube channel? I don't know. I don't hear a lot about the Greens. Maybe if I could do a bit of research and see if I can find out more. There's a question I have related to the Green Party I've got here as well. But yeah, I think the social media is a big problem with all these political parties, because if you look at reform, that's one thing they're doing. They're very engaging online. There's a lot of, they put out a lot of videos, they put out a lot of content, whether it's on Twitter, on YouTube, or X and Facebook and whatnot. They're pumping out content. They are out there. They are engaging with people. It's not just about what they do on the ground, but it's online as well. And even if they're not doing a lot of stuff on the grounds, which is the reason why they're not getting a lot of council seats, they're still gaining traction from engaging with people online on a regular basis. They have a very good machine. They have a very good propaganda machine behind them, and people are buying into it. And it's up, and we have to counter that. We have to counter that information. But one of the many things that have been said about reform is that they give a little bit of truth but a lot of lies. I do consider them a threat. I don't think they would serve the interests of the UK. I don't think they would. I think they wouldn't even serve those who support them. I think their interest is their own. I don't think their interest is being beneficial to anybody. No, that's fine, Alistair. Yeah. I don't get the type of nostalgia I import. Yeah, so people like nostalgia. Yeah, that's the thing. Because people do like that nostalgia of coming back to something. They love. There's always there's some people that like going back in time, back to the way things were, sort of thing. Where things were easier for them. The cost of living is something that is the biggest problem. But even if Labour does deal with this cost of living crisis, even if they make bills go down and whatnot, people will never be satisfied. People will always be hungry. People will always expect more and more. People are greedy. People are very, very greedy. There are some people who have their feet on the ground and understand. But even if in these 4 years Labour deals with the economy, boosts growth and all that malarkey, and there's more money in our pockets and jobs and whatnot, there'll still be a group of people out there who won't buy into anything that's what Labour's doing. They'll try to say it's something else or whatever. They won't give Labour the credit they deserve. For example, they've cleared 10,000, they've deported 10,000 migrants this year. 10,000 since coming to office. And I've said this, are the reform voters, are the hard right-wingers, those who have a problem with immigration, are they going to give Labour the credit on that? They haven't once. I've not seen once. Anywhere on my channel, when I've spoken about it, I say, are you guys going to give them credit? Not once in my comments they've said, credit to Labour, they're actually doing what they want them to do, and that is deport migrants. I haven't seen that anywhere in my comments. So, yeah, it's... the feeling is that I feel the feeling that from what I've read and what I hear is that people want change. People are tired of red and blue. They're tired of Labour. They're tired of Conservatives. They want something different. They want something new. And a lot of people feel that way based, from the time of the general election to now. A lot of people have already lost complete and total distrust with the Labour Party. They've lost it because of the headlines that what the mainstream media publicises more negative news than good news from what this government is going to do. The majority of the media are in favour of Conservatives and reform, and they're going to amplify any negativity that this government does. Anything they do negatively gets amplified, and that's just a reality, really. So yeah, thanks for those questions, Stephen Banker number 3 and AR Coffee there. So, like I said, if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. But I've decided I have written a couple of additional ones here. I don't know how long this live stream is going to go on for, guys, because it's not really a proper one, to be fair. Because, I haven't done the intro and all that kind of stuff. But I did want to do one because, obviously, because I know, obviously, if I do any of these Super Chat goals, and if they hit, then I will do more Q&A live streams for you guys. So I've got about 7 questions I've written down here, some all different ones here. So the first one I've got here is why do you support a universal basic income, UBI for short? So the reason I support so for those who don't know, a UBI is called a universal basic income, where basically everybody has received a certain amount of money from the government, from the state, to basically support you. So basically, it's a benefit that everyone is entitled to. The term universal basically means it's supposed to be for everyone, that you get straight from the government into your bank account, just like that. Now, let's just say for standard like £1,000, whatever. Now, there are a lot of negatives and there are a lot of positives to a universal basic income, and yes, I do say negatives as well, because here's something that, and I do really want to do a UBI live stream with Max at some point. I don't know when, but that is something I do want to do at some point. If we are ever to push for a universal basic income, on a state level to implement across the board. You have to if you don't just highlight the positives, you have to be able to counter the negatives of it. You have to be able to do. Luckily, I just missed it. Unfortunately, apologies for that. I have not got my hand sanitizer here. That's not very good. Apologies. Oh dear. Yeah, losing my train of thought. So, if you want to push for a universal basic income, you have to know what the negatives are, and you have to know how to counter those negatives. So, for a prime example is funding. Like, this is the number one thing that people get asked is how would you fund it? My answer straight up would say, well, it would come straight from the taxpayer. So another tax. So you would tax people to have a universal basic income, and I say yes. I say, but people don't want to pay. Why would people want to pay for people to be sitting at home? See, this. You see the direct, and then you got to be able to answer this, count every single the questions to that. And that's just one of many things. Like there's a. For me, my argument would be is that the tax will pay itself back in the long term, because what it would do is boost the economy, and it would actually as it puts more money into people's pockets, it means people are able to buy the things that they need. It would also mean that less people are volunteering at food banks, less people are volunteering. There'll be less volunteering for charities and whatnot, because you have people with money in their pockets, which means you would have people spending money that they get from the state, spending it on food, spending it on clothes, spending it on local things, as opposed to people who are basically struggling just to pay their bills, struggling to get by, make ends meet. Now, of course, the term universal obviously means, well, that Regan, it also means that you're giving £1,000, whatever it might be, you're giving it to the rich and the wealthy as well. And I'm saying yes, you are. It wouldn't be a universal basic income if everyone wasn't getting the same entitlement. My belief is that while I understand that the cost besides it, for me, the most important thing for any government anywhere is to support its people. This should not be rocket science that there are lots of people out there struggling, and people are not getting the support they need from their governments, from their leaders, and what they end up doing is turning to volunteers and organisations and groups to help them. Some of them volunteering their time and dedication to do so. And while I appreciate the work they do, and I really, really do, they should not have to do so. They should not have to go to a food bank to get food that they need. They should not have to struggle every single day to make a living for themselves. Now, are some people going to abuse the UBI system? Of course they do. There's always abusers. There's abusers in every aspect in any parts of society. There's always going to be abusers. But are the vast majority of people just going to be abusive? No. The other thing that a universal basic income will do is that it will support those who lose their jobs. There is a transition taking place where we want to eventually move ourselves out of the fossil fuel industry, relying on oil and gas, and we want to move to more eco-friendly projects, green energy. And what better way to do that than if they get transitioned out of those jobs and into new ones, then being supported by a universal basic income to help them do that as well. The problem is that you have to convince people that the benefits of that. Now, I've talked about how it can create people can start a business based off a universal basic income. That £1,000 going into your bank account. Like if you let it sit for a whole full year, that's £12,000 you've built up in your account. There you go. You can use that to start a business of some sort. So if you have those ambitions and goals and dreams, there will be lots of complications around it. Jal says UBI in the future maybe, but my feeling is people will get unbalanced. Better to have a good social security net, but this is just my opinion. Some people will go mad and boredom is dangerous. Yeah, this is the thing. If this is the thing that that I've said about a universal basic income. You have to have the arguments for against it. You have to know what the arguments are for against it and be able to counter it, because you're going to be like, for those who are advocating for it, those who are fighting for it, whatever organizations out there, and there are lots of organizations out there who are fighting for universal basic income. You've got to be able to go onto panels, go onto TV shows, and make a compelling case for it. You've got to convince ordinary people on the street. You've got to get it in the conversation to politicians. You've got to make it a conversation. If you really want a universal basic income, you have to push it, not just in front of politicians, but in front of people. And when they talk about the negatives, you have to be able to counter them. Because you can talk all you want about the benefits of a policy, but you have to be able to counter the negatives to it. So the reason I support a universal basic income is because I believe it will make people's lives better. That's my reason for supporting it. Next question I ask myself is, do I consider myself left-wing? Well, I get, obviously, those comments. Every now and then I'll get comments basically saying that that I'm left-wing, tofu-eating, Guardian reading sort of terminology. I personally don't like these labels, even though I do use them myself. I don't like the term left wing, right wing, and sort of thing. But it's just, it makes it easier for people to divide to say, well, these people are these two are extreme and these people are sensible or whatever. And then there's like this far left that people talk about as well, or they're like center left, and it's just like, hey, I'm a guy with an opinion. You can choose. Like, there are times I've said things like, there have been times where even the Conservatives have done one or two policies that I've agreed with, but does that make me right wing? No. Do I consider myself left wing? I guess if you want to consider myself left. Do I consider myself extreme left? No. I try to be balanced. I can't say I'm center because I can't say that I'm center. I'll probably have to say I'm more left than center because I don't support enough of a lot of things that comes from those on the right with policies and ideas. But maybe I don't always know that. It's a difficult one to say to myself. I guess I do consider myself left wing, I suppose. And I don't know if anybody in the chat considers themselves a political position of left wing, center, right wing. Like, I don't like the term. I don't like the term at all, but I know people use it because it's easier to describe where people are sort of based, you know. Labels are prisons as jail. Yeah, labels are considered prisons, to be fair. But it's easier to differentiate people. You know, would you consider Nigel Farage? What would you consider Nigel Farage? Like, you know, populist is what they would say. Right wing is what they would say about Nigel Farage. You know, he's not. People used to call George Galloway like a left wing, like extreme left wing. Like, I don't consider him like that. I'd consider him more right wing with the rhetoric that he comes out. But you know, I don't consider him on the same like levels as Jeremy Corbyn. I consider Corbyn like yeah, I definitely consider him, you know, a strong left winger. But I would say I'm more left than centre. But I don't like those labels. You know, they are labels at the end of the day. But it's easier to differentiate. But people do it because it's easy to differentiate certain groups and whatnot when they do that. This was an interesting question I put to myself, and I don't really have a strong answer to this. So maybe if anyone wants to help me with this one. So if you are such a big supporter of the Green Party, then why don't you cover them more? So yes, I am a big supporter of the Green Party. So much so that I've, you know, I said that I would join the party at some point, but I still haven't done it. Why not? That is a good question. You know, you're a big advocate for Carla Denyer, Adrian Ramsey, and you know, whenever they're on, I do go out of my way to try and listen to them, listen to what they're saying. I like their policies. I like their direction. I love what they're doing on the ground in terms of from the ground up. You know, that they've got over, was it 800, 900 council seats across England. I mean, that speaks volumes to how they're establishing themselves as a party. You know, talking. You know, and that's not by chance. You can argue that that Labour and the Conservatives have eroded their trust with the general population in some aspects, but for the Green Party, for me, it feels like to me that they do try to. I do feel they listen to what people are saying, and they try to answer it in the best way possible. Do Greens always get things right? No, of course not. No political party is perfect. The part of me that's hesitant to become a member is just because of some of the things that have happened in the past of the Green Party. But the counter argument is, of course, like, you know, that no party is perfect. I mean, I know some people are big supporters of reform, but they won't go as far to subscribe to reform. And I don't call it members. Like, it's a subscription like them. Like, there was a time where I was quite interested in the Liberal Democrats, but they've, you know, after what happened in 2019, they fell off a cliff. For you know, they like, even with Sir Ed Davies, with Prime Minister's questions, every now and then he's pretty good, but yeah, the last PMQs he was pretty trash. But it's like, that's the only time I hear about the Lib Dems. But again, this is a problem when it comes down to mainstream media. But is that something I should be covering them more? Should I cover them more as a party if I'm advocate? Like, I did contemplate this. I have contemplated. Like, I don't know if it's out there, but I thought, you know, since, you know, when Graham Hughes started Labour Social, you know, to really push Labour and Labour politics and all that, and then obviously he switched out of it and changed it to Politics Social. You know, I thought about whether or not, you know, would I consider doing something like that for the Green Party. And I just thought, like, I could easily just face too much backlash from it as, like, an unofficial supporter of the Green Party. You know, how would I go about doing something like that? You know, would I get, you know, I would get support from Green Party members, but could I make something of something like that? I'm not too sure. It is something that did cross my mind, but no, at some points, like, I thought about, you know, joining the Green Party and then setting up a separate YouTube channel specifically for the Green Party, as an unofficial Green Party supporting channel, promoting their politics and whatnot, and trying to, like, cover them like a news bulletin of some sorts, like just talking about all the policies, things that they're doing on the ground in certain areas, or up and down the country on a local level. That's something that I thought about doing at one point as well. But to answer the question, why don't I cover them more, is because the mainstream media doesn't give me enough content. I don't get enough content on the Green Party. That's simply it. If something really big comes up, then I'll cover it. But most of the time, it's very, very quiet. Just like Liberal Democrats, it's Reform who always gets the media attention, because Reform are, you know, they're news. They're news. It's not just a case of they say things that are bounced off the wall. You know, Reform, Nigel Farage, they'll say things that they shouldn't be saying. But it's news. It's good publicity. No, it's not good publicity. Any publicity is good publicity for the news, for news channels. That's why they get them on, because it brings in viewers, gets people talking about them. Whereas the Greens, they won't be so entertaining. The Lib Dems would not be so entertaining when it comes to politics. And I feel like they try to blend more entertainment into politics sometimes, and it doesn't always work out on that. So, is an interesting question, especially for my friends up in Scotland. So I said, why, as an Englishman, do you support a second Scottish referendum? So those who know me, I'm not Scottish. I don't have any Scottish blood whatsoever in me. I have some part Irish blood and some part Welsh blood from my family. So I'm half English, half Welsh, half Irish. There is no Scottish blood in that runs in my family, unless maybe it might be going back. There might be some in the ancestry if I ever dig up ancestry and go deep far back, but it's probably more likely to be Irish than be Irish more than anything. But so why do I support the Scottish referendum? It's a very simple answer. Because I believe in democracy. And those who think that Scotland should not be entitled to a second independent referendum, well, it's just saying, well, like those who say on that, it's like why, as somebody who sits on the outside, why should we make that decision for them? My general consensus is that there were lies made in that referendum. There were promises that were made that were not kept. And since then, Scotland has been worse off as a direct result of Brexit. As a direct result of the 14 years of the Conservatives. While they have shielded themselves incredibly well in comparison to what England, Wales and Northern Ireland have, they have still suffered. Just nowhere near the level as the other nations of the United Kingdom. And the reality is that if Scotland were to control all their finances, all their resources themselves, they could do so much more for themselves and their people. And already they know how to manage their budgets. They already know how to look after the pennies, because they literally are forced to do that with what they get allocated by Westminster. So they already know how to look after pennies. For me, it's about the choice, to having that choice. And the problem is that they can't make that choice because Westminster won't allow them to make that choice. At the end of the day, the decision has to be made by Westminster. So it's not democratic. It's not a fair deal. Like if the majority, I've said that if the majority of the Scottish people want a referendum, then they should have it. Some polls differentiate. Some say that they're for. Some say they're against. Some say it's a bit too tight. This is my position: is that like there was a time where I actually believed I wanted the union to stay together. I want everyone to work together because I believe everyone should be working together for future prospects. The problem is that for them, they don't feel that way. A lot of them feel tired, fed up, and they want to stop taking orders, stop taking in what Westminster is saying, and they want to make their own decisions for themselves. And that's the truth. And Wales should be able to make their own decisions in Northern Ireland if they want to become part of Ireland and United Ireland down the road. Again, that should be their choice to decide, not anybody else's. No one at Westminster. That's pretty much my feeling on it. So, do I support a second Scottish referendum? Yes. If the majority of the Scottish people want it, they should have it. And it should not be up to Westminster or any politician outside Scotland to make that decision for them. It should be down for them and them alone to make that decision. Is there much talk of it? There's not enough. From the general feeling is that there's not enough talk about it. But it will. It's just something that needs to. It's something that they continually need to build up. Man 30 says, why won't Westminster let Scotland have its second referendum? Energy resources. It's always down to. Everything always comes down to resources, and of course, when it comes to resources, money. It's always coming down to money with these factors as well. Mithril, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. And Martin Briggs, hope you guys are both doing well here. Probably going to go to about got to a couple more questions I'll put to myself. But like I said, if you guys have got any more questions, feel free to pop them in yourselves. Resources is absolutely the right answer. I mean, that what's happening in the Middle East is a result of resources as well. We know Scotland has, those all that oil and gas that they literally have. I mean, just imagine they decide to say to all those private companies pumping all that oil off their land, and they said to them, imagine them say, okay, you can continue the pump here, but we're taking 50% of any revenue 50% of the revenue that you make from that goes to us or something. Similar contract that Norway has with its oil and its resources. The Scottish government would make billions of pounds from that. If they can control it. I wouldn't take it in full state control, but they can make so much money. But there's so much more than just the resources that they have there. So much more. But yeah, I do agree, Momonga. It is down to resources at the end of the day. What's happening there? And it is just down to resources. So this next one's an interesting one I put here. If there was one politician that you could interview, who would it be, and why? It wouldn't be Donald Trump because it would be pointless and frustrating, negative. It wouldn't be Boris Johnson because, again, same thing. Same with Liz Truss. If there was one politician, I'll put that question to you guys in the chat. If you could speak to any politician, if you have a sit-down interview with them, who would that be? Generally, put down a name that comes to your mind down below. I think if there was somebody, if I was one politician, I would sit down and talk to. There's quite a few interesting names out there. Be Jeremy Corbyn. I would sit with Jeremy Corbyn. I would talk to him. Now, I would discuss his time when he was Labour leader. I would talk about the situation he's in now. I would ask him about what he's doing now to try and shift politics in a better way. And what is he planned? What kind of legacy he wants to leave behind, sort of thing. I would try to ask him why did it go wrong for his leadership in 2019, and I would talk about non-political things as well from him, because the majority of what I hear from him is that he's the general consensus that I've seen quite a lot of interviews of Jeremy Corbyn, and he seems like a very down-to-earth person. And I've not had the pleasure of meeting him, but he was actually someone I would generally love to interview. And just talk, not even just talking about politics, even just sometimes off politics as well, Just try, because I can see the human in Jeremy Corbyn, even for his flaws. I see a human in that politician. Dennis Skinner, that's a good one, Mithril. That's definitely a good one. He's definitely a good one, Dennis Skinner. So yeah, Jeremy Corbyn would be my pick. But let me know who you would pick if you could interview any politician, dead or alive, down below. So if I ask a question, do you ever watch Professor Tim Wilson's videos? He did a terrible one today on Scottish fishing. Blames its decline on wind turbines. I haven't watched any of his videos today. I haven't. The only person I've caught up on videos at the moment is Max Roberspears today. But I'm behind on a lot of videos because I've just come back from spending most of Christmas with family. I would say, like all YouTubers, there are hits and misses. I certainly definitely have my fair share of misses, that's for sure. But I'll definitely have a look over the weekend when I get a chance to. There are times where I think he does speak the right mind, but there are times where it doesn't always hit. He's an interesting person. He's definitely someone I would love to have on. There's no way for me to contact Professor Tim Wilson apart from leaving a comment on his channel. I'd rather not do it do it like. But I would love to have. I would love actually, in all seriousness, I would love to have him on for Snowflake talks, like just meaning 1-to-1, and just talk about politics. He's definitely one. I know no Helena from No Justice is definitely someone that I would. I've thought about having on as well in the future as well. From Krakeneer, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well as well. There's lots of people that I would definitely lots of people, but yeah, I'll have to watch that one just to answer that, Mithril. But thanks for that question. So this one I suppose is worth asking, because not everyone, because some people don't always, some people haven't been here since the start of this journey, since I got into YouTube. Some people have noticed me in chats and whatnot. And I think this is one that's a good one, a personal one as well. So what got you into politics? I think is a good question to ask. And by the way, you can your questions don't have to be politics. You can even ask about anything else, like food, whatever. If you guys want to talk about anything else, you're more than welcome to. So what got me into politics? I did not give two damns about politics when I was a kid. Did not care at all about it. As some of you guys know, I had EBD when I was younger, which was emotional behavior difficulty. So I had troubles controlling my temper when I was younger. So politics was not something that was on my mind whatsoever. And then at one point in my life, I started reading The Sun. I think it was mainly for football more than anything. And for some reason, I read everything in it and in the paper. I don't know what it was. I just read it all. Again, you have to understand at the time, wasn't really taking too much interest in politics. Even as far as 2012, 2013, 2014, like I was paying a little bit of attention to politics because obviously there was the big news about the Scottish referendum, but I wasn't head deep into it at the time. I wasn't left wing, right wing, centre, whatever. Like I had other things going on in my life that, you know, didn't really care about politics enough to make me think about it. But I think, yeah, Brexit was the straw that broke the camel's back, really, more than anything. So that really, what happened on that was very, like, eye-opening. I wasn't too deep into politics. Still reading from the same paper. Like, I wasn't really paying attention again. But then the build up to Brexit, of course, that changed everything, because this was really a big deal, because we were voting on something that I didn't really have a full understanding of. And for those who didn't know, I voted for Leave. Why did I vote for Leave? I don't have an answer, straightforward answer. It was nothing to do with immigration. I can tell you that for a fundamental fact, because I was someone who works in retail and works with so many wonderful different people with different cultures and backgrounds. Immigration is the last reason that I voted for it. But I remember my brother saying to me that I would regret voting to Leave, and he was right. And then that's when I started paying more attention to politics since when Brexit happened, and I stopped reading newspapers quite before that vote, actually. And then I remember the YouTube algorithm, and it's because of the YouTube algorithm that drew me to Max Robespierre's channel. And that's where my political views or my understanding of news literally went in a completely different direction. And it opened me up to a whole different side of news and politics that I didn't know about. And it all started from him, from the algorithm of YouTube, which I'm talking to you guys mainly through, well, that and Twitch I'm using now. So it's all from that. And obviously from Max that I learned about All Shorts, Daily Blase, Helena No Justice, from, you know, when she appeared on, I didn't know about her until she appeared on a Sunday roast, you know. And I absolutely love her work and what she does. I really, really do. I just wish I could. I wish I had more time to give to her. You know, this is a fun fact, you guys. You guys might not know this, but um, she's the only person out there I'm a YouTube member for, because that's how much I really do take in so much, of what she says. I just wish I could be there for her live streams. There's always other things going on in my life that I could do, but like her, Big Man Studios, another great YouTuber, so knowledgeable, that guy. Alex Political X, another incredibly smart people. And then I know he's controversial, but Phil from a different bias. The man has a wealth of knowledge in this. Like, and I'm learning. Like I said, this channel's about learning together, because I'm still learning, even though I've been into politics for quite a long time. I still don't grasp it anywhere near the level of some of my fellow YouTubers, and the reason why I got into politics more than anything is because politics can change people's lives. It can destroy people. It can kill people. It can save people. It can make a difference to people's lives. It can make a difference to the next generation of children. Policies, decision making, those kind of things. Like, some of the news that I cover don't have little to no viewers, but I know that they could have a massive impact in the future for them, in the future for kids or for the next generation. And when I talk about the world news, one of the most infuriating things that I keep talking about whenever I cover the world news is what's happening in Sudan. It's a prime example. What's happening in Haiti? What's happening in Myanmar? Just these 3 countries, for example, and what's happening to them. And is enough being talked about them? No. For me, mainstream media is prioritizing what is good ratings for them, what is good enough news that it's worth putting out there to them, and putting out what they think will be good ratings draws to them. Not necessarily news, but news that will actually attract people to them. And they use social media to necessarily to do that. I've known you for a while now. I appreciate that. I had a ML friend who used to buy the Tory Graph for its sports writing. Yeah, that was when I was really into football. I've totally fallen out of football and I'm into wrestling now as well. But yeah. Didn't your mum tell you to never look directly into the sun? Well, yes, that's true as well. My mum also said not to talk to strangers. And at one point, we were all strangers to each other, weren't we? So, trying not to think about next year in the US. Thank you, Mithril, for being a member for 3 months. I appreciate it. Yeah, I totally feel you about what's happening in the US. I actually contemplated, I'm not going to do a live stream dedicated to American news. I just think it'd be too much for me. But I'm gonna stick to covering world news, but bits and bobs about what happened in America. I mean, there are going to be stories coming out of the US where it's going to be like, like the prospect of Donald Trump, invading Canada, the Panama Canal, or Greenland. I don't know if you guys heard, there was a story actually. There was actually a joke meme going around that Denmark was proposing to buy the United States of America. I don't know how serious that was, but I thought that made me funny. But I do this. I do this because I care. It's the main reason. I do this because I care. I do cover these. I feel like I'm bringing a different side of news and politics that maybe some other people do. I do feel like I am bringing news stories that perhaps people don't pay much attention to. I know it's definitely working, because people on TikTok, especially on TikTok, they really pay attention to the short videos. In comparison here on YouTube, the TikTok algorithm is constantly pushing my short videos. I mean, it's to have over 700 700 followers on there is absolutely insane, and that's it's already had more than 1 million views. My TikTok channel, so that's pretty awesome. But I also learned when I started YouTube. For me, started this. For me, it was the case of you can't just rely on one social media platform. You have to build across others, because if something happens to your YouTube channel, you need to have alternatives. So that's why I have a Rumble channel. That's why I have Patreon, and I was using it as a political channel. That's why I have Facebook. That's why I have Instagram. That's why I have all these different platforms to reach out. That's why we're live on Twitch as well, even though we don't get many viewers on there. It's just another way of trying to reach out to new people. So I think that's what I'm trying to do anyway. Don't forget, the first Fallout game shows the US annexing Canada. Yes, as a advocate, just like you, I'm an advocate, massive Fallout fan. Played all the games, completed them all, absolutely loved them to bits. I definitely want to go back and play. I definitely need to get my Xbox back out and start playing Fallout 4 again, because I missed that game so much. But yeah, remember that story very well. Manbot33 also says, if I meet someone, they complain about politics, I ask them if they said they voted the election. If they say no, then I just say you have no right to complain. Then I go on with a different subject. Yeah, sometimes the conversation can just turn sour when you talk about politics to random to people, whether it's work colleagues or friends and family. And sometimes the best thing is just not talk about it. I mean, like, we have. I think I've told you guys before when I moved here, that there's somebody here. He doesn't live here, but he stays over and whatnot. But he's like he's definitely right wing. But I don't engage with him on politics because it's just too annoying. Like, he's upset a lot of people when he puts on like right wing YouTubers on downstairs and whatnot, and doesn't have the headphones on. Like, he's an old guy. He's in his late 60s. I just don't bother arguing with him. You know, some people's mindsets are just in one place, and it's just, you know, your time and energy is better off elsewhere rather than trying to argue with. Sometimes it's not worth spending your time and energy trying to change someone's mindset, especially at that age. It's the younger minds we need to convince, I feel, when it comes to that. I think I have one more question here. I'm going to answer this last question. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. But if not, I'll wrap things up, because I just say I'll go about an hour. This is an interesting one. So this is not even a political one. So if you could have any 3 people around your table for a meal, so for a dinner, excuse me, who would they be and why? So that's any 3 people, guys. Any 3 people, dead or alive, who would you have them around your table for a meal? Oh, you would. So it'd be an interesting one. Okay, do I want a politician around my table? Probably not. If I wanted to have around my table, there is one wrestler I would definitely love to have around my table, because I think he has this person has a very interesting mind. His name is Dustin Rhodes. He is he's been in the wrestling business for a long time. Some of you may have heard of a wrestler called Goldust. This is the same person. He's been around for a very, very long time, and he's literally has his own small promotion. He has helped bring in a lot of both men and women into the wrestling business, and I've heard nothing but positive and kindness things about him. He's definitely someone I would love to have on my table, just to pick brains in his mind, just to get to understand. So another person I would have around my table, I don't know what kind of person he would be around the table. I don't think he'd be entertaining. I would have Eminem, simply because he is my idol. Ever since I was younger, his music helped me keep me sane when I was going through when my brain was not there, and you know, whenever I get angry or whatnot. His music related to how I felt as a child, and that's why I'm still an advocate fan of Eminem. I've never been to an Eminem concert. I should have gone to an Eminem concert. That may be something that I will regret. I don't think I'll ever get to meet him, if I'm honest, but so he's the second person I would have. Even though he might not be entertaining, just ask him a question or get him around the corner would be an interesting one for me. So who would I have on the final round that chair? Maybe someone who's dead. Maybe someone's no longer here. Who would be the third person I would have round that table? Like who is really who would I really put? I mean, the thing is you're not just, are you just thinking about yourself, or you're not just thinking about how that person would interact with other people around that table as well? I feel like it needs to be a woman, just on the par balance, but I'm not sure who I would really want. I actually do have someone I would put around that table. Someone I've actually generally wanted to meet. He's actually one of my favorite actors. One of my favorite actors. I really think he is. I think he has an incredible mind. I think the way he comes across in his films is extraordinary. I'm a huge fan of him. He is actually one of my favorite actors, believe it or not. I would have Denzel Washington around that table as well. I think him in Man on Fire, the Equalizer series. He is just so, like, I love Training Day. My God, what a great film that was. American Gangster, one of my favorites as well. One of my favorite films of him being in. And feel free to add some of your own if as well. I would love to just have a conversation with him and talk about, like, him as an actor, and, like, you know, just to get to know him and talk about, you know, because I like to, when I do the Snowflake Talks, guys, you notice whenever I do them, I like to dive into people's history before we talk about news and politics when they're first time on, because I want to know about people. I like to know about people. And I find it so fascinating to learn and understand how people become the person that they are today. It's such a fascinating thing for me. So I would love to have him on the table, around that table, just to talk to him, talk about his career, talk about him as a person, talk about why he got into acting, whatnot, like just that kind of thing. So yeah, those are my three choices: Dustin Rhodes, Eminem, and Denzel Washington. An interesting combination of people that I would have on my three people around the table. Abraham Lincoln, John Wayne Gacy, and Mother Teresa, says Simon says 55. Interesting. That would be very interesting. Mithral says Bill Hicks, Giles DeRazg, and Billy Bragg. Oh, very interesting. That would be a very interesting round table. Good to see you, number 3. Hope you're doing well there. I'll answer this one because it's a good one to end on. What is your personal wish for next year ahead for me? Get fit for me. I haven't been to the gym for a very, very long time. One goal I've said to myself is although, guys, I do my daily walks, not all of every day. I try to do 10,000 steps a day. I need to get fit. And based off recent events, I'm thinking about my health. And I think one of my biggest problem is that I can't go. I have this fear of going into the gym on my own. So in all seriousness, I'm actually looking into. I'm going to look into whether I can get a personal trainer to help me get me comfortable into a gym. I need to look at the local gyms. I want to get into that next year. And I have no problem getting up at 5 a.m. if it means going to the gym at 6 a.m. spending an hour. Because I think, for me, like I want to have a better body, but I also think by having a better body and working out, I would be more confident in myself. I think that's generally it. That's a personal goal for me, is to get fit. Now I have lots of muscle in my legs. I have nothing here, guys. I have lots of muscle in my legs. I want something like that. You know, I want that's something that I generally want to go gun for. So that's something that I definitely want to aim for next year. I think once I'm able to go to the gym comfortable and confident, then I think it's something I can get into my routine, just like brushing your teeth, on a daily basis. I really think that can be possible for me. And I think, and I also look at it as from a health point of view as well, guys, because I want to have, you know, like, I'm sure you guys agree with me, you know, we all want to have a happy, healthy, prolonged life. And I do think that if I do this, I would have a much healthier, happier, prolonged life in doing so. But I need a personal trainer to help me get started. I can't just turn up in a gym by myself. So that's something I need to look into. Or even get a gym buddy or something. You know, that's a personal goal for me. So there. Let's just have a quick look what you guys are saying in the chat before we wrap up. I would have had John Smith to ask why he helped Westminster hide the truth from the Scottish referendum, the oil, and keeping us in the dark. Eston to tell him he was a thief, and Einstein that he was amazing. Einstein would be an interesting one to have around the table. Like, I wonder what it would be like if you put Einstein, Stephen Hawkins, and yes, I know he's a bit radical right now, but Elon Musk. Imagine putting those three around the table. The conversations that they could have. Be fascinating, that's for sure. Would be very fascinating. Number 3, thank you so much for the £20 super chat. Why do cows have bells? Because their horns don't work. Very good. Very good. Hello, wake up and smell the rosemary. It's good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Mr. E says, never forget leg day. See, I know the term. I've heard of the term. But, yeah, like, I need, like, if someone takes me to the gym, they're going to have to, like, literally just, like, they got to treat me like an absolute noob. Like, I don't know anything. Like, that's what I would say. That's how they've got to treat me. Never been comfortable in the gym since Mithril. I was put off exercise by a set of bully PE teachers at school who did great humiliation because I was poorly controlled asthma. I'm sorry for that. I generally want to be comfortable and confident in myself. And, you know, I feel that I need to get out of my comfort zone. Because I'm currently self-employed, this is what I do. I feel like that if I'm able to do that, it will help. So I hope my aim is to try and start it by mid-January at least. And obviously that will also mean changing up my diet as well, which is something I've never considered. So that's something I've thought about as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming along, guys. I really appreciate so many people coming in today. I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for leaving your comments and whatnot. Thank you so much for that £20 super chat number 3. Really appreciate that as well. Yeah, interesting conversations, you guys. So I'll be back Monday with the Snowflake viewpoint. If you guys got nothing else planned, no premiere videos over the weekend. There will be. I won't be able to do full-blown content next week because because I want to spend a bit of time with my partner if I can, because she's got time off. She's not fully back into work till the new year, so I do want to spend some time with her. So I will get content out for next week. It's just probably going to be the same level as it is now. So tomorrow is a day where I'm going to try and get try and produce some content. I've got content going all the way up till Sunday, so I don't have any new stuff at the moment. So, but as for live streams next week, it's probably going to be, you know, I'm probably going to do all the live streams, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be the same. Thursday, I will probably do a conflict episode, maybe. Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. Wait, I'm going mad now. What's the day is? Oh no, Tuesday. Yeah, I could do it. It's a bit weird actually. Maybe not a live stream on Tuesday. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday probably. Maybe I'll do Snowflake Corner on Thursday actually. Maybe not a live stream on Tuesday night. Yeah, because it's New Year's Eve. So what I'll do is New Year's Eve, I will, if you guys want to come and hang out on Discord, I'll do a Discord chat on New Year's Eve is what we'll probably do anyway. But yeah, thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you guys for all your comments, and take care as always. The setups I had to get this set up like literally 10 minutes before we started, like because everything was all put away because I've been off for a couple of days. But, and there's no proper outro as well, guys. So as well, but if you haven't already, hit the like button, share across social media, subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I go live as well. Do check out the links tree down below to check out all my social medias as well. Stuff outside of politics and whatnot. I'll probably be hanging out in Max's live stream later on if he is doing one, and I will try and keep my eye out for whenever No Justice comes on as well, because I do want to catch up on one of her live streams as possible as well. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Take care and good night.